What if I told you that a novelist from over 100 years ago gave us the perfect tool to understand the ideological chaos of today? Well, we're about to dive into an essay by the great Natsume Sōseki that does exactly that. He breaks down the power and the serious peril of all the isms that shape our world.
So let's just start with the big question Sōseki is really asking us. Think about your own life. Is it being directed by an ism? Capitalism, socialism, feminism, whatever it is, that maybe you've just accepted without digging into where it came from? This question, it really cuts right to the heart of everything he's about to argue.
Now, to get our heads around his critique, we first have to understand where he's coming from. See, Sōseki doesn't just tear isms down from the get-go. Not at all. He actually starts by admitting how incredibly convenient they are. He calls them a kind of organizing box. He basically says that most isms get started when someone looks at a ton of messy, complicated facts and bundles them all together. They're like these mental filing cabinets, right? They let us take the absolute chaos of reality and slap some order onto it. And that makes really complex topics way easier to handle, which is for sure super useful. And this is where Sōseki makes this absolutely brilliant distinction. He says an ism isn't prose. It's not a living, breathing story, with all its nuance and detail. No. He says it's a dictionary, just a static, neat and tidy list of definitions. It's the summary, not the real story. And that right there is where the trouble begins. So this convenience, this handiness, it comes with a massive flaw. Sōseki argues that in our rush to get everything organized, we create this perfect container, what he calls an outline. But in the process, we end up throwing away the very thing that was supposed to go inside it. It's like this. Imagine you have a stunning, complex painting, and you decide to throw away the actual canvas with all the art on it, but you very carefully save the empty wooden frame. Sōseki says that's exactly what we do with isms. We hold on to the structure, the outline, but we get rid of the rich, messy, actual human experience that gave it any substance to begin with. And to make this even clearer for us, he uses a couple of really great everyday examples. He says an ism is like a company's final financial report or a student's grade at the end of the semester. Both are just clean, simple summaries that completely paper over the complicated reality that produced them. And this just lays bare that huge gap between the neat little outline and all the hidden content, right? A single letter grade doesn't show you the late nights, the frustration, the moments of breakthrough. A financial summary, it totally hides the sweat and the struggle of hundreds of people. And in exactly the same way, an ism is just a tidy label that glosses over this immense, contradictory, complicated history of human life. Okay, and this is where Sōseki's argument really takes a turn, because now he shows us the danger. He says these empty outlines, which are always built by summarizing the past, they become a kind of prison when we try to force the future into them. He lays out this logical trap that we just keep falling into. Step 1, we summarize the past into a neat little ism. Step 2, we start treating that summary like it's not just a description, but a rigid, unchangeable mold. And then step 3, we try to cram the living, breathing, totally unpredictable future into that old, stale box. And of course, it never, ever fits. And the result of all this? It's this deep feeling of being disconnected, of being inauthentic. It's the pain of feeling like you're just a cog in a machine, like you're living your life just to check the boxes of some pre-existent ideology. You're not actually living your life. You're just living for an outline that somebody else drew a long time ago. This right here is the ultimate danger that Sōseki is warning us about. It becomes a tyranny of the past over the future. A simplified, cleaned-up version of what was becomes this rigid law for what must be. It just slams the door on all other possibilities and denies the fact that life is dynamic and always unfolding. So if that's the problem, what's the solution? Does he just say we should throw out all outlines and live in chaos? No. Instead, he pushes us to find a living outline, one that's actually born from our own direct experience. And he uses a very popular movement from his time, naturalism, to show us what he means. Back in the early 20th century, naturalism was the big literary ism in Japan. But Sōseki looked at it and saw just another empty outline, one that had been imported from Europe. He watched as Japanese writers were desperately trying to stuff their own unique Japanese experiences into this foreign pre-made box. And he just completely rejects this whole idea. Our purpose in life, he says, is not to be the stuffing for somebody else's mold. We are not on this earth simply to provide the content for some pre-approved
ism. I mean, it's a really radical call for personal authenticity. And this brings us to his beautiful solution. He says a true, meaningful ism can only exist when our life, what he calls our vitality's development, our own unique journey, when that naturally creates its own shape, its own outline. The meaning has to flow from the inside out, not the other way around. So ultimately, what he's calling for is a complete reversal of how we think about this stuff. The point isn't to go out and find a pre-made ism and then try to squeeze your life into it. No, the goal is to live with so much authenticity that your life itself creates its own outline, its own unique shape, its own unique meaning. And so Sōseki leaves us with this timeless challenge. And man, does it feel urgent today. Take a look at the isms that shape your own life. Is your outline something you just inherited, something prepackaged that you picked up from a political party or some online tribe? Or is it being drawn right now by the vital, messy, authentic content of your own experience? That's the question. And it's just as piercing today as it was a century ago.